Good evening. The time is now 6:30. I'd like to read the legal notice for the public informational meeting for the town of Plainfield. A public informational meeting will be held on Wednesday, August 26, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. at Plainfield Town Hall located at 8 Community Ave, Plainfield, Connecticut. The Board of Selectmen of the town of Plainfield will conduct a public informational meeting to discuss a request to appropriate funds for the town of Plainfield's, from the town of Plainfield's fund balance to provide fiscal support for the hiring of attorneys in connection with the town's effort related to smart technologies. Dated at Plainfield, Connecticut on the 10th day of August 2026, Kevin M. Cunningham, First Selectman, Mike Supranat, Selectman, Tom Sinkowitz, Selectman. So I appreciate the opportunity for us to talk about what we are asking for at the second part of the meeting. This public informational meeting is to discuss, identify requesting funds to be taken from the fund balance. So what I'd like to do is just call this public informational meeting to order and have a brief introduction from those people who are looking to help and support us. So why don't we start off first? I'm going to mess up your last name, I'm sure. Madison Strimoli?
Yeah, that's correct.
Excellent. So Madison, if you want, you can grab a microphone.
Should I stand over here? Is this okay? Perfect. Hi everyone. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Madison Sprimuli and I'm the organizer for the CT Zero Waste Coalition. So we've been kind of following this whole proposal now over a year that it's been going on. So I want to give a little bit of background on what the proposed facility is, some of the harms that could cause to the community, and then opportunities for public comment for the Siting Council application that is currently going on right now. So first, the proposed facility is the Smart Municipal Solid Waste Technology. It's a first of its kind facility in the US, and it's comprised of a lot of different systems. So there is bulk handling system, gasification of municipal solid waste, anaerobic digestion to process food waste, and carbon capture and CO2 production. And I wanted to highlight that the gasification process is a form of incineration. They are applying high heat to the waste, and that creates byproducts including air emissions, slag, char, fly ash, liquid waste, and wastewater, all from applying that high heat in the process. So these pollutants are known to cause respiratory, immune system, nervous system, and also cardiovascular harm, which is why we are opposing this facility. Also, Connecticut does not need this trash plant. These facilities are known to pollute our communities and cost hundreds of millions of dollars to be built, plus millions each year to maintain. So I also want to note the centralized location of the proposed facility means increased truck traffic, odor, and noise concerns for the surrounding neighborhoods. So I really want to highlight the current public comment period that is going on right now for the Connecticut Siting Council. This is a perfect opportunity for your voice to be heard. So you can send your comments to the email address siting.council@ct.gov. And also, I'll be sending around emails too if anyone wants to sign up for that with this information. And you want to submit your comments before September 6th. Be sure to include the importance of this issue to you and explain your concerns. So I just wanted to highlight too, we have a few flyers here. They're limited if you want a hard copy. We also have QR codes if you want some resources to help you plan your public comment. Or at the very end, you can sign up for emails and I can send all these documents to you, but just some information to help you plan your public comments. And you can do that at the end of this meeting. I just wanted to highlight that for you all. And yeah, then I'll pass it over to Gabriel Slaughter, my colleague.
Thank you so much, Madison. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Gabriel Slaughter. I am a legal fellow at Save the Sound. And Save the Sound is a member of the Connecticut Zero Waste Coalition. I just have a few short remarks that I'd like to make following Madison's. Save the Sound is involved and has been tracking this facility because of the negative impacts that it's going to have on the health of Plainfield residents, because this is an environmental justice issue and because this is an opportunity to get the state decision makers to invest in sustainable waste policies and solutions that actually reduce the amount of waste that our state produces every year. For this first permitting procedure before the Siting Council, at the very least, we think that the Siting Council must require a full hearing and put the project under the track that requires heavy scrutiny. Now, I was originally intending to give a presentation about the Siting Council procedures, but I believe that Anne Catino will cover that in much more detail for you all. But I think that as the first legal step, that is what we should all be advocating for, is that the Siting Council put this under there's sort of two tracks that the Siting Council can put an application through, and one is much quicker, and one is there's a lot more scrutiny involved, and I think this facility is absolutely the kind of project that deserves the higher level of scrutiny. For the rest of my time, I just want to urge two things. I want to urge everyone in this room to submit public comments, and secondly, to advocate against the proposed facility in the press, in social media, and to your elected officials. Even after having only worked at Save the Sound for a year, I've seen how increased public scrutiny can impact a permitting process and make the permitting agencies take the proceeding much more seriously. So I really urge everyone to stay engaged and to let the decision makers know that you are paying attention and that you care. So about the public comment, the Siting Council is not supposed to be a public body, political body, but it does tend to respond differently depending on the pressure that's put on it. The voting members of the Siting Council are humans, like anyone else, who are more likely to respond under pressure. Again, the venue for submitting a public comment is to their email address, the siting.council@ct.gov, and we've sort of put together a couple different guides that I advise folks to consult when putting your public comments together. And of course, I urge everyone to frame their comments in respectful terms. That will definitely help them be received better. I have a few more detailed comments about the comments themselves. The quantity and quality of comments both matter. So even if you don't have much time to submit something detailed, submitting something is much better than submitting nothing. If you can submit something and you have time, I encourage you to submit comments that are personalized as possible. For example, if you can, explain how you think the proposed facility will affect you personally. And you don't have to be a quote-unquote expert for the Siting Council to take your comments into account. They are interested in how proposals will impact people's lives. Additionally, I encourage those of you who can comment to frame your comments in terms of environmental concerns and public health concerns, and not quality of life concerns. And this is just something that decision makers tend to treat differently. So for example, it's a subtle difference, but if you're going to talk about the increased truck traffic, I would advise you to talk about, instead of talking about how it's going to be a nuisance, talk about how it's going to impact your mental health. I hope that makes sense. Again, we have some handouts that hopefully will provide some more guidance on that. In terms of advocating in the public sphere, the Siting Council and the permitting agencies themselves are not the only venue that matters in the outcome of whether this proposal will get built. Decision makers in the state government also pay close attention to what is going on in the press, on social media, and what other elected officials are saying. So I encourage everyone to communicate their point of view outside of the permitting process too. So in letters to the press, on social media, in contacting journalists, and to ask your elected officials to weigh in. However, this is a big caveat. If you choose to file as an intervener or party in any of the permitting procedures, I would advise you to only talk about the permitting procedures in a manner that is strictly consistent with your positions in the permitting procedure itself. Likewise, if you're a member of one of the town's siting commissions, the same goes. Little comments can sometimes have very big legal impacts. So particularly if you become a party or an intervener, or if you hold an official position in the town, it's very important not to let those stray comments, which can sometimes have really big ramifications, which I've heard has sort of been an issue with the Costco suit. So anyways, that's a general comment. Speaking of advocating in the press, we do have a guide, and there are 20 hard copies here, but I didn't anticipate this big a crowd. And so there's also a QR code on just some tips and tricks on how to submit letters to the editor. And that's everything from me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Gabriel. At this time, I can actually pass it right over to you. We'd like to introduce Ann Catino.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ann Catino, and I'm with the law firm of Halloran and Sage. Selectman Cunningham asked me to participate here tonight as he has been looking to me and my firm to represent the town as it moves forward to become involved in the siting council proceedings relative to the project. As Mr. Slaughter had indicated, right now the project is on a path in the siting council. It's called a petition for declaratory ruling. The siting council also has another process called a certificate for environmental compatibility and public need. Two completely different processes. One is fast-tracked, which is the petition, which is the one that they're on. The applicant Smart Technology Systems is on. And then there's also the certificate proceeding, which was much more of a searching review. There's more prerequisites prior to filing the application. The whole entire process is much different. The applicant Smart has submitted their petition on August 7th, 2026, and that leads to a number of various deadlines. He talked about the public comment period deadline, but that's a deadline that also exists for state agency comments, municipal comments, and the deadline to request party or intervener status. It all falls on September 6th. So if you do have any public comments that you want to make to the siting council right now based upon the petition, you're urged to do so. The deadline for action under the statute, because it's all statutorily regulated, is October 6th of this year, with a final decision to be made on February 3rd, 2027. That's under the current proceeding. I can tell you that Senator Summers has already requested and wrote a letter to the siting council. It's a matter of public record, asking for a public hearing in this matter and also urging that it proceed as a certificate proceeding. We're currently working with the selectmen in order to frame the town's arguments. Obviously, we'll be seeking to intervene as a party to this proceeding and then move forward in order to address all of the concerns. Some of them I will hear, I'm sure, tonight from you all, and likely try to flip it to a certificate proceeding instead of the petition proceeding, which again, they'll have to start all over. Now, the siting council is just right now has jurisdiction over one part of this plant. The siting council also has jurisdiction over other parts of the plant. The interconnect line, I think there's a transmission line, there may be a substation. I'm still getting my arms around all of the various components to this project. So this is one part of a much larger proceeding that will likely occur in chunks as applications are filed for various parts of the facility under the siting council jurisdiction. At the same time, there's DEP permits. They've already applied, I think, last spring, early spring, for their air permits, because there will be air emissions. They filed a couple months ago for their solid waste permit. because obviously it's a solid waste facility and there's a variety of permits that you have to receive for purposes of construction and operation of a solid waste facility. In addition, I expect, it'll ultimately come out a variety of other permits and reviews that they will need from DEP. So we're monitoring all of that. The standard for review under a petition is slightly different than the standard of review under a certificate. Under a certificate proceeding, they have to identify that the project itself has a public need, public benefit. Mainly, they're arguing the energy need, energy demand for renewables, as this is, they're calling it, it's as a renewable energy facility. That's how they're casting it. Outweighs any environmental impacts that might result. That is the real burden on the applicant, on SMART, to make that showing to the siting council, who then has to do the weighing of the public benefit versus the environmental impacts. And so it's a long process. I will echo what the folks from Zero Waste and Save the Sound said. Public participation is critical. Write your letters, write your emails when there's public meetings in town, particularly either for the siting council proceeding or the DEP proceeding. Participate, don't be shy, talk, and let your views be known. Send in your emails, send in your letters. It will all go into the record, and it will be taken ultimately into consideration.
Thank you, Ann. So at this time, I would ask that if anybody has any questions from the floor, if you wouldn't mind coming up to the microphone, just giving us your name, where you're from, and if you have questions for any of the people who've been here tonight, please take the time to come up and ask.
Good evening, Carla Desjardins. So part of the role of the attorney will be to help notify the public when and how and where they can participate in this process.
I turned it off, so now I turned it on. Yes, that'll be part of it, is working with the selectmen in order to get the word out as to when, if there's going to be a hearing, when the hearing is, what the process is, yes.
And for Mr. Cunningham, will that information be put on the trashplant.org website and the town Facebook page as well?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then for anybody looking for a sign, they're out in the front lawn, just take one on your way out. Have a great night.
Hello, I'm Ralph DeLucia. I live on 230 Starkweather Road. I want to know about the Siting Council. Who is the Siting Council? What kind of members make up that council?
Okay, you're gonna have me go somewhat by memory. They're primarily...
I don't care specifically, but, you know...
They're political appointees.
Okay.
They're political appointees. There are designees from the DEP and from PURA, so there are some agency designees who sit on the siting council, but for the most part, they have been appointed by the governor.
Do you know how many members there are?
9, I think.
All right, I guess that's it. Thank you. And nobody is pro trash plant here, right? Everybody's on the record as being opposed to it.
I'm personally opposed to it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Just wondering. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Charles Rubano, and I live at 91 Lovers Lane. The property line for this plant is 800 meters from my house. The closest structure will be 600 meters from my house. And we have other people that live on Lovers Lane. Correct me if I'm wrong, but one of our selectmen. Yeah. Anyway. My other half and I, we've identified a bird that is I don't want to say a protected species, it's not an endangered species, but there's another technical term for it.
Species of special concern.
Species of special concern. And we are especially concerned about this species and this plant. And so what I need to know is, and I have video, photographic evidence of this bird. I need to know who I can present it to, when I can present it, how I can present it, and to make sure that it is seriously considered. So I think it's important because if you have a species of, what did you say, serious? Special concern.
I'm messing this up.
Okay, anyway, it's been a long work day. If you have a species of special concern and it's that close to the proposed plant, it definitely should be considered. With regard to the siting council, and this is opinion, not fact, the siting council, to me, is just another appendage of Governor Ned Lamont. Governor Ned Lamont in previous legislative session, Governor Ned Lamont vetoed a bill that would raise the population, the value of the population that would allow more self-determination for the towns. This legislation should be reintroduced, and it should be supported overwhelmingly to the point where his veto can be overridden. One. And two, and again, this is just an opinion. If you're opposed to this plant and you vote for Ned Lamont, you're an idiot. Yeah, I'm a Democrat and I'm voting for Fazio.
Charles, just so you know, you have two legislators right over here.
I didn't understand, you said something about, they did something with the number, like how many people live in a town, or something, I was.
If you wouldn't mind, then we can have one of the legislators come up and answer that question for you. If that's okay, explain it a little more.
Good evening. Al Dufresne, 148 Pond Road, Killingly, your neighbor towards the north. We're down here with a coalition that try to help you out. I want to address groundwater, stormwater, and long-term water quality at the proposed trash-to-energy facility. This project includes substantial amount of impervious surface and is proposed over Class GA groundwater and GAA groundwater resources in the surrounding area. Under Connecticut's groundwater water quality standards, RCSA Section 22A-426-7, the state's policy for GA and GAA groundwater is to maintain or restore that groundwater to its natural quality. These groundwater classifications also recognize drinking water resources and the connection between groundwater and surface waters. Because of this, I believe a site-specific hydrogeologic study should be required before approval. That study should establish the actual groundwater elevation, seasonal high groundwater, groundwater flow direction and gradient, and hydraulic connections between this property and nearby streams, wetlands, aquifers, private wells, and public drinking water resources. Being outside a mapped aquifer protection area does not establish that those connections don't exist. Groundwater does not stop at a line on the map. I am also concerned about chloride from winter de-icing across the project's paved and impervious areas. A chloride mass balance should be provided showing the total pounds of chloride expected to be applied during an average winter and a severe winter. It should account for every pound of, it shouldn't account for every pound of chloride, how much leaves in surface runoff, how much is actually removed from the property, how much enters infiltration system, and how much ultimately reaches groundwater. The analysis should also evaluate cumulative effect on groundwater chloride concentrations after 10, 20, 30 years of operation. I'm not saying contamination will occur. I'm asking that the science necessary to protect these water resources should be completed before this project is approved. The stormwater study tells us where they're putting the water, and a hydrogeologic study tells us where that water and what is dissolved in it ultimately goes. They could have a hydrologic study done, but they need to have a hydrogeologic study done. A Class 1 water, I was a retired Class 1 water systems distribution operator for the state of Connecticut, and that needs to be answered, and these test wells should be put in for the hydrogeologic studies. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Would you mind, I just wanted to make sure we have an answer for a resident. Doug, would you come up for us for a second? Do you want me to talk about it? Either one. Just ready to go.
Sorry. What was the question, ma'am?
I know.
It's the legislation.
The gentleman over here was
Legislation.
talking about the number of people. It sounded like there was a question, like the governor decided that if the town had so many people, they could make the choice.
I can certainly speak to that.
Okay.
Your name?
My name is Doug Dubitsky. I'm state representative. They're representing the southern portion of Plainfield, and Dauphiné here, state representative, represents the northern portion of Plainfield. I do sit on the Environment Committee, and I'm familiar with what's called the environmental justice laws in the state. Essentially, there is a provision in the law that gives towns under 10,000 residents the ability to vote to allow a plant that has been, allow the permit for a plant that has been denied by DEEP. So in certain instances, if a plant was proposed and DEEP denied it based on some number of factors that affected the people of a small town, those people in the small town could get together and vote to override that denial. What Representative Dauphiné and I and Senator Summers introduced in 2015 were a couple of bills that raised that, yes, 2025, yeah, that raised that number to 16,000. That would have encompassed Plainfield, which I'm told has just over 15,000 residents. And it would also have allowed a vote, or actually mandated a vote, not only to approve a permit, but also to override a DEEP approval. So it would have given the people of Plainfield the opportunity to vote at a referendum whether or not they want the plant to go forward, whether or not they want DEEP to issue a permit for it. We passed that bill, actually two bills, through both the House and the Senate. Governor Lamont only vetoed 3 bills all year. That was one of them. So it did not become law. In 2026, we pushed through a similar bill. It was a little bit different, but it would have had the same effect on Plainfield. We were able to, and Representative Dauphiné and I were able to get it through the House, but there was immense pressure from many different special interests and the governor, and they never brought it up for a vote in the Senate.
So even though we were able to get it through the House, they didn't even get a vote in the Senate. So the governor did not have to veto it a second time. So to your point, that's why the number of residents is important.
10,000, if your bill had gone through, it would have been 16,000. And so if Plainfield voted against this, we wouldn't be going through all this.
Correct. If the governor had not vetoed that bill, you would just be able to vote at a referendum and pretty much be it.
Thank you very much for explaining, because I couldn't figure out what you just.
How long ago was that?
Sorry?
How long ago was that veto?
The veto was after the 2025 session, and we passed another bill through the House in the 2026 session, which ended in May? In May.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Representative Ann Dauphiné. About, I think it was a month or 6 weeks ago, I did go on a Zoom call with Madison and Gabriel. It was very informative, and much of what they said was repeated at a meeting that Senator Summers, Representative Dubisky, and I had with Deep, the new commissioner, which I think was right after she got into the position at the beginning of August. We sat with her for well over an hour and explained the concerns that everyone here has, including, and I just want to add that there's people here from other towns, surrounding towns. Al just spoke, he's from Killingly. We have a couple of people from Killingly. I know people from Scotland, and there has been voices heard from Canterbury. So this is much broader than Plainfield. So I just want you to know they're concerned as well. And as Representative Dubisky explained, he's on the Environmental Committee, but he was able to talk about the environmental justice piece that was one avenue that we tried to change. But there's a huge amount of lobbying going on by the CBIA, which is the Connecticut business industry. There's many of the unions are lobbying because they want the jobs to build the building. So there's this going on, and that's what I think persuaded the governor to stand down on this issue. So we're up against, a climb, but much of what Ann said with regard to participating and speaking up and writing letters and coming to the meetings is much of what we heard from Deep when we met with the commissioner. She said that has more weight than anything. So I encourage all of you to show up like you did here. Reach out to us because we are working really hard to advocate for you. Reach out to us. Kevin Cunningham has our numbers. He can reach out to us and let us know. I've heard from dozens and dozens of individuals with regard to being against the project. I haven't heard anybody supporting it. So just so you know, and I think the same for you and Senator Summers. So we're here if you have any questions. I can stay. I think Representative Dubisky may have to leave, but I'll let the rest of you ask your questions.
I don't have to leave.
Okay, thank you. Just one point was you were asking about where we get information. Is it on the town website? There's a great site that we have on there. If there's a link to it, we'll continue to put more information on that as well. So I encourage the fact that we have access to our representatives. We also have access to the people who are on the siting council because their info is in there as well. So thank you. And we have someone else.
Hi, my name is Heather Bradlin, and I don't live there yet. I've been trying to build a house for 2 years at 53 Jackson Road in Plainfield, and this is literally right through my backwoods. And we moved there because our son has such severe disabilities. He has a severe seizure disorder, and my husband actually just texted me that he had to save his life while I'm here talking to you all right now. So I'm a little shaky, but we moved here to have a better life for him. We wanted to do organic farming. We wanted to teach him life skills. We're in the middle of building a house, and it's absolutely crazy to me. that our well could be toxified, our soil could be toxified. Like, he's allergic to the sun. I can't imagine what this is gonna cause for my son medically that I try to keep alive every day, and he's 19 years old. And it's been a long road. And people like us are not thought about. I was a special need advocate for 15 years. I worked with 500 families every week. And then we have such a large population in the Northeast, people whose children can't breathe, can't eat, can't do basic life things. And this is gonna be in the middle of all the schools. I wanna know, like, are they gonna be testing our wells? I want my well tested quarterly of my whole life and my whole lifespan. I want my well water. We have a beautiful pond. We moved there for the pond that was there. It's spring fed. We literally have all the wildlife that comes there every day. We have bald eagles. We have, salamanders that are rare. We have turtles. We have all this wildlife that's there every single day. And it's all being also pushed, right? Because they keep clearing the land, getting ready for the plant. So we have tons of bobcats in my yard now and all sorts of things, right? Because it's all being pushed towards us. There is a million reasons why this should not happen in the middle of people's homes. Like, there are so many other places in towns that it could be in where people don't live right around it. It really is mind-blowing to me. I have to come here and say this from an emotional standpoint, because this could potentially, my son could depart from chemicals and things like that. If there was an explosion like the other plants, we cannot evacuate our son. He can only leave by an ambulance, okay? Right now in his life, he can only leave by an ambulance. He has such significant needs that in the past 4 years, he's only left by an ambulance, medicated. We will be there. If there happens to be something like that, there's not going to be a way our family will be able to leave. And that's it. That's all I have to say. This really is detrimental to thousands and thousands of families in this area. Thank you.
My name is Perry Ford, and I live on Packerville Road, a road called May Street, just off of Packerville, which is just a skip over 14, a skip over Cemetery, and it's right under Jackson, where a lot of these people came from. So, on a clear day in the winter, I can see what's going on, where this is going to happen. All right, I see the wood burning plant, I don't have a problem with that, but I see all this stuff, I see Lowe's, so I see how open this space is. So I'm going to address you, but I'm also addressing the back of the room. Sorry for the back of my head. I look at this through a different set of eyes, because I've been working at Frito-Lay for over 32 years now. I started in the wastewater treatment plant. I have a full understanding of what Al is talking about. Thank you very much, Al, for showing up. He had his own issues in Killingly, so I can vouch for him. We are right next to a river. We have very stringent protocols when it comes to that river. The road salt, the plowing, Damaris does our plowing with the sand and everything. So it's a very, very strict protocol with that. My two main questions, and I participated in some sort of web meeting a few months back. I don't know if you folks remember that. I was lucky enough to be on hold long enough to get two of my questions on that they said they were going to answer. They did not. My first question, when I worked at Frito-Lay, I worked in sanitation. I work wastewater sanitation directly with storm drains. We also work with a lot of other issues that go on there, because everything needs to be food safe. All right. One of my associates in sanitation is called Wayne, and he's our pest control manager. He takes care of rats, birds, seagulls, bird flu, all that stuff. He is on top of that. Over 200 traps that he has on his laptop. He has to monitor the rats, the bugs, the flies, everything that goes in there. With that being said, one of my concerns with this project is they're going to be trucking dumpsters and garbage from other parts of this state. Wherever's in those dumpsters is going to come here. All right. A city rat is a lot different than a farm rat, and I've said they are extremely tough resilient vermins to get rid of. And I've had long conversations with Wayne about, about the different things and the protocols to do this. One of my questions to them was what kind of pest control system that they have in place to prepare for this. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but this would be the kind of facility that's going to, close shop at 5 p.m.? It's not a 24-hour project, right? When this facility is operating, will it be 24 hours?
Yes, 6 days.
24/7. Is it 24/7?
No,
Thank you.
the solid waste permit will not allow
Right.
any solid waste facility, which this is, to run.
I was saying the DEP, when it issues, or assuming it issues, a solid waste permit, there are certain regulations that prohibit facilities from running 24/7. It's possible it could be 7 to 7, but it will not be a 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week facility.
Thank you for that. Working here, Frito, we take in truckloads of potatoes, raw potatoes in the back of trailers. Okay, they get backed up a little bit. Sometimes we have mechanical issues. Those potatoes come in a big box truck. The second they leave the ground, the second they get processed, they're on the timer. They're rotting in these trailers. These trailers are leaking. They're bringing animals. They're bringing the rats, which are bringing. We have a couple eagles, thank God, and because Wayne can't use anything evasive for the wildlife. But that is a problem of his, and as the facility, because what falls on the ground brings things like that. The seagulls are always hanging out. So if this facility were to break down for any reason,
That's a different story.
all right, well, this is, all right, for our service kind of plan, if anyone here has ever bought a brand new car the first year, there's recalls and there's issues, correct? All right, if this plant shuts down and there's 90 trucks a day coming, or 90 tons, what's that magic number? And these things get backed up. Are they gonna take this thing back in New Britain or New Haven or wherever? No, that's gonna sit there. That's gonna leak trash, it's gonna bring animals. These animals will pick up whatever comes out of these dumpsters, whatever. It'll pick up a rat, it'll pick up a raccoon, it'll fly into his house. They'll bring it over there and eat it. I'm glad Al showed up here because he shows just how widespread this issue is. Because this, it's your town, your problem mentality that everyone seems to have outside of here, they don't realize it's going to be them. All right, they're going to see a turkey vulture in their front yard in Canterbury, Scotland, with a rodent from wherever. Point is, if these trucks sit and they're going to sit there until they can process whatever it is in these trucks. In the meantime, we're inviting this kind of problem. And that's why I asked them about their pest control program. I've never got an answer anyways. All right, so that's something else to think about. These are things that I see through my eyes because I see this happen. All right, a lot of the folks behind us, they don't see how this impacts things. We are a food plant, very, very stringent, a lot of our rules, and I see some of the issues, which is something that could be here. Just like she said, thank you for backing me up, it's not gonna be a 24-hour project. These trucks that do come, half of them don't, they're following the GPS, they don't know what to do anyways. That's the whole thing with Lowe's, I'm not gonna get into that. But they're not gonna drive all the way back. They're gonna dump this trailer off, and they're gonna leave it while they're fixing whatever this is. So with that point being made, I won't go ramble on. It's just something else we need to think about, we can argue about traffic all day, I get it. They've heard that. They've heard about traffic. They've heard about, school buses getting held up, all right? They've had that fight before. We need to approach this different angles. What are you gonna do about the rats, the raccoons? What else comes out of these dumpsters? Are these open top trailers that are coming here, or are they not? And that's gonna invite this kind of problem, as well as getting into the ground system and the water dripping out of these trailers. My friend Al would love to talk to you about that. Number two, with that being said, being the first of this kind of plant, we are presently building a fire station. I'm sure everybody knows. Will this fire station be prepared for a hazmat situation? Something shouldn't go wrong. This is a gas facility. Are they ready if something goes wrong? I know Frito-Lay, we are billion-dollar industry, top class. But we have issues that we need to facilitate outside of our facility if it's a problem. Because we don't handle things in-house. So we have people on standby, the various fire departments, in the event, because Killingy runs on natural gas. That's a natural gas facility. So the gas leaks and things like that. All right, we're currently building a fire station. Will they be able to handle an issue, or at least handle an issue long enough to get some people in that can? Now, this is an issue that's right in front of your house, her house, their house. And that's another question I didn't get answered. And these are other ways that we need to look at this. We need to approach this from different eyes, you know, besides just the obvious. Is it unsafe? Absolutely. Is it the first of its kind? Absolutely. You know? If it breaks down, what happens? Who is responsible? Are we? Do we gotta pick up that hazmat issue? We got a town issue now? Sorry. Thank you for your time. So I'm talking along you go.
That better for you, is it? I'm pretty good about talking loud with a microphone in front of me, but anyway, my name is Warren McKnight. I am a resident of this town since 1959. Okay? I came here in 1959 to teach science, and that's what I did for the next 36 years. I stayed right here and I taught science. Many of you, if you don't know my name, I bet your parents do, because I had over 3,000 of them that went through my classes. Anyway, this whole issue bothers me a lot, and I've spent a lot of time thinking about it, and I don't want to go into a long discussion because I've already done that. I spent 3 or 4 days working on a letter that I composed with my wife, in which I addressed most of the problems as I saw them. Now, the point is, I have been a scientist all my life, okay? So I try to approach everything from a scientific point of view. And in my letter, I have, one of the copies will go to the Siting Council, one of the DEEP. The selectmen have a copy, and I suppose if anybody were interested enough. But I'll tell you, it takes you 10 to 15 minutes to read the letter. Okay, so I'm not so sure how many people would be thrilled about that. But anyway, what I wanted to do is to boil it down to just one most important point that I wanted to pass on to all you folks, okay? And that has to do with where I live. We live right at the top of 14A, okay? Right on top of what once was called Bradford Hill Road. It's Plainfield Pike now. God only knows what it's going to be next year, but anyway. And where we are located, we're on a high ridge that sits right above the valley, the Moosup Valley down below, the Quinnebog Valley. I spent a lot of time in my letter explaining how all of that came to be, geologically, the history, all of that, why it's the way it is, and what is apt to be changed by it. Anyway, another thing that I keep track of is the wind direction. We watch the weather, even though the weather folks stand right in front of eastern Connecticut all the time. Anytime there's a weather mass coming across the state, they stand right in front of it just when it gets to us. So we don't know what happens. But anyway, the prevailing winds run from west to east. That is the way it is, okay? Now, the site for the incinerator, whatever you want to call it, I'm afraid I can't remember the exact name, whether it's a purification or anyhow. Gas, yeah, okay. Anyway, that would be located right down at the bottom of the valley, off Pickett Road down in that area. It used to be Rawson's Sand and Gravel, okay? And the winds will carry any sort of material, gaseous or particulate, up over the hill and over us. Now, my wife, who was sitting right over there, by the way, She is suffering from COPD. All right, we see a lot of doctors and they're struggling with the problem, but one of the things they always say is air quality is number one, okay? Now, I'm enough of a scientist to be very, very skeptical. So when I hear the smart folks talking about how good this plant will be and how little there's going to be to fear from it, I say, baloney. There's no such thing as fail-safe. You see it in the paper every day, on television, every day where another fail-safe thing breaks down, okay? Now, when the smoke came from the fires, the Canadian forest fires, we had to seal up the house, close all the doors and windows. We had to run two air purifiers plus the air conditioning all the time, just so she could breathe, okay? If she went outside, she couldn't breathe at all. Now, what I don't want is any sort of an incident that can end our lives. At midnight tonight, I turned 90. She's already 87. I'm legally blind right now, so she has to ferry me around in the car anywhere I want to go. Life is kind of difficult in that regard. So I don't want to shorten the remaining years that we have left by some sort of a plan that is just not practical at all. It is very, very dangerous. Okay, enough said for now. You're lucky I'm used to speaking in 40-minute chunks.
One thing I just wanted to remind everybody, and all this testimony is very compelling, and I personally appreciate it. Just know that you're speaking of the converted already. You don't have to convince anybody in this room, I don't imagine, that we should do something. I just hope that the people who are coming to testify, who are giving that very compelling testimony, will put it on a piece of paper and send it to the siting council, because they're the ones you need to convince. You don't need to convince me or the people at this table. So I do hope that you will get that testimony to where it will do the most good.
Trav Harmon of Moosa, Connecticut. Thank you, Representative Dubinsky. So let me talk to everyone else about facts and reality. Numbers and facts matter. The information that was presented to us by Smart Technologies in their initial presentation was disingenuous at best. They claimed that this technology was used in Europe and at a country. When you actually look up the location of this plant, it's 3 kilometers offshore. No one lives near it. And for those who don't know what a kilometer is, 1.8 freedom miles. So it's not even remotely near a populated source. Everything goes wrong that goes into the ocean. People don't touch it. And right now we're going to be putting this into a major area that's highly populated, and I'm going to give you some real numbers. The numbers keep going up at every filing, so pay attention. In the initial filing, it was estimated there'd be 100 trips, or 100 truckloads of trash. Filings of August 7th from Smart Technologies now estimated at 120. Previous plants of similar size are showing 150 to 190. So the numbers are already wrong. On top of that, they're not counting the trucks leaving. It's 120 estimated trips in and out. So it's 240 right off the bat. And that's just August 7th numbers. You don't count any kind of ash trucks, which is absent from the report. They don't count any kind of employee commutes, miscellaneous, anything. Even the caterer is not even included in it. So the numbers are vastly wrong. They're on a 1 to 6 ratio. On top of that, everyone who spoke was right. So let me give you some real numbers. 91% of facilities throughout the United States by the EPA over the years has leaked into groundwater, period. Are you going to argue it? Too bad, it's reality. On top of that, there's a 37% increase in particulate-based lung cancer at these facilities, taken in totality. On top of that, the facility, per their own documentations, the lawyer is correct, that the trucks will not run 24 hours, but the facility will. And their own documentation, it's 40 people on third shift. There's about 150 people, give or take, on there. So the trucks will stop at dusk. That does not mean the plant stops. That basically means they're going to just pile it up at dusk. Now we start burning stuff. It means it's going to run 24 hours a day, lights, sound, and so forth. And yes, the wind will take it, and there will be a significant impact in health. So everyone wants to talk about health, that's going to kill you, all right? On top of that, what's even worse is that because the chemicals like PFAS, otherwise known as forever chemicals, are stuck. Once they hit the aquifer, we're done. Ohio has that exact problem right now. They have a plant out there that nobody can fix. It's too far down, the chemicals will never go. Our species will end before those chemicals die. So keep that in mind. On top of that, it gets even worse. Home prices drop, education, all kinds of things like lead, arsenic, cadmium, they will be leaching in there. Now, we have an aquifer. It's not over there, not over it, but it's too close. That closeness will leach into our wells. That'll, some people claim, you're looking at a glass of water, it's going to have a shine. Give it enough time, it's going to have something, and it doesn't matter what anyone says. So keep that in mind. And and I thank the representative who presented. If anyone wants more info, plainfieldtrashplant.org. Thank you. Thank you.
First of all, thank you so much for this big turnout and for all the work, free and otherwise, that has been done on this. I want to give a special shout out to Warden McKnight, who was my earth science teacher. And thanks to him and thanks to the wonderful teachers I had at Plainfield High, I now teach chemistry labs at Eastern University. So that's thank you. But I wanted to thank him for another reason, and that is we carry this place with us in our hearts. And even though, I know that quality of life doesn't have as many points maybe as other facts, I just wanted to tell a little anecdote. I have a brother who was a fighter pilot in the Air Force. He served in Desert Storm in Afghanistan with the Special Forces. He would run with a pack over his head at 104 degrees. He would call down airstrikes with tanks all around him, and with kids running up to the tanks with white flags. And I would say, my God, George, how do you do it? How do you get through it? Why do you do it? And he said, because you want people like me fighting who hate war, not other people. And I said, how do you get through it? He said, I think of home. I think of the wind coming through the window. I think of the view. It's not only Ned Lamont who needs a view. It's the people in Plainfield that need a view. We carry it with us. And the teaching of people like Warren McKnight have made this part of the litany of our day. The way the stream moves, what the hills are doing, how the air is lifting. It's not just data. It's who we are is part of this. Who will be in Afghanistan surrounded by dead people thinking about a waste processing plant? That's not where your mind is going to go. So I just wanted to say thank you, because it's not just data, it's also our hearts. And I think that everybody here loves the place and stays here because it's special. We do not want to be the armpit of Connecticut. So having said that, I want say a few practical things. First of all, I hope that at every event like this, there's a petition to sign so that people can sign the petition and say, we do not want this. You know, it's very practical. Another thing is, speaking to the endangered species question, I looked at the endangered species map of Connecticut, and you can find that, and eventually it shows up as Natural Diversity Data Bank. Anyhow, there's something called a critical habitat for endangered species, and you are absolutely right. At the end of Lover's Lane, there's critical habitat, and on the other side of Jackson Road, there's critical habitat, which suggests that there are endangered species to the south and to the north of this particular parcel of land. So that's something to bear in mind. There's another thing I've been watching the Siting Council for a while. For those of you who are interested in actually seeing the petition, it can be found at the Siting Council site. It's petition 1719 under pending documents, and you'll see a bunch of pictures and all kinds of stuff there. Before coming tonight, I was looking for something specific, and the thing I was looking for specifically was the responses to the questions that we asked on August 9th, and which Smart Technologies is obligated to respond to in writing. Now, it may not be in that may be the wrong place to look for it, but I'm very interested in how they responded to some specific questions. And some of those questions that I remember were posed were these, and there are others, and people who were here that night may remember what they were. But one of the questions was, how much energy do you make and how much do you use? Are you really an energy producing facility? You know, another one was, let's see, what are your assurances that there will be no further expansion past the 81.2 acres into the 500? Because that's a very different plant, and there's every probability that it could grow. Another is, what are the assurances that trash comes only from Connecticut and not from other places? Another is, what are the assurances that the plant will be dismantled at the end of the life cycle? We look all across the country and they're not dismantled. Is there a cache of money somewhere that's going to dismantle it? We just have to drive around our streets and look at all of the factories that have been left to rot. In 50 years, when this thing dies, what happens then? You know? Another thing is, in Hartford, when there was a problem at the facility, all of the trash got left on the street outside of the facility. You know, so when there eventually is a problem here, and there will be, what is the plan? You know, does it just get left there? So, anyway, those were some of the questions, and there were others that I can't remember. Maybe others who are here tonight can add to that, but where are the answers to those questions? They should be somewhere. Thanks a lot.
Just remember when you come to the microphone, just give your name, and it'll help out.
Okay, yes, thank you. My name is Marcy Hooper. I live here in Plainfield, down Sunnybrook. I moved here in 1995. Sorry, with my husband, who has since passed away. And I stay here because I love it. I love this town, I really do. And I have one big, poignant question to ask. It has little branches off of it, but I'd like to know whose bright idea this was. Who the hell thought of this? And what do they have it in for themselves? What is it for themselves? And have they looked beyond their own skin? That's what I want to know. It makes me furious, because people don't look past their own skin when they start something like this. They probably don't even live in the Plainfield area. Well, hello. I mean, does it take a genius to figure that out? I don't think so. I'm not stupid, I don't have a huge IQ or anything, but I'll tell you what, I can figure that out, that the people who are planning this don't live near where this is going to do the damage to Plainfield. They don't care.
Didn't you people
will vote against this? Yes. Come on. You voted against it. Why is it still on the table? Why is it still, why? That's it. I'm done. I want to know who thought of this stupid thing. That's all.
Carla Desjardins, Chairman of the Plainfield Planning and Zoning Commission, and the Commission did vote to deny an application in November of 2023, where they requested to make this residential zone industrial. So I do want to make it clear that we've already voted as a commission to deny industrial in that particular part of town. It violates the Plan of Conservation and Development, and all of that I have written to the Siting Council, so I do hope everyone is sending, because tonight is not a public hearing for the Siting Council. Tonight's purpose is to vote on funds so that the town can represent us at the Siting Council proceedings. So since we are well beyond the 7 o'clock town meeting start time, Mr. Cunningham, I wanted to know if we would be moving the question to the referendum, because there are some people who unfortunately have time constraints and have to leave. So I want to make sure that we can do the purpose of today's meeting, which is to make sure that we all vote townwide on the funding so that we can fight the fight.
While we have time constraints, I would like to be able to open it up for more people to speak. If that's okay with you? Okay.
Naomi Smith, Plainfield. I have an issue with the members of the Siting Council, the members of DEEP, and the Plainfield's gonna get a fair shot. I would say, from what I've researched, that we have a conflict of interest per se right in our faces, but the overlap of the politicians, the overlap of the people that all have their hands involved in this, from members of the CBIA, the board members of the CBIA, the law firm that's representing ONG, how far they go back, the task force that a lot of these members have sat on together, the fact that Eversource will benefit from the energy grid, and there's a former CEO sitting on the Siting Council. I'd like to know who the new DEEP commissioner is. What was her former job? Did she in fact work for Ned Lamont? I don't know. Google says she did. So I'm wondering if with some of our money, are we going to be looking for any potential conflicts of interest? I'm very aware that the lawyers and the lobbyists create the laws up in Hartford. They put pressure on our politicians. Our state ethics, at this point to me, are a joke. There's so much overlap and intermingling of people that what should be considered ethics violations are just considered overlap. They're just good buddies that have served on boards for 13 to 15 years. But we don't know each other. We don't have a bias. We don't persuade votes behind closed doors. Plainfield is not that stupid. We're not this stupid. You ask why we don't believe in politicians, why we don't believe in government, because you make deals behind closed doors for money so that people get rich on the lives of people living in towns like ours. And how much of this is a political agenda? I don't want to write to the Siting Council. I sent them a Freedom of Information request looking into conflicts of interest. I've also started going to Mr. Lamont's, and I will call him Mr. I won't even give him the title of governor. He's not my governor. He doesn't represent me. So I am going to be basically asking him why he's turned his back on 15,000 residents in the town of Plainfield. We want answers. It's not we're here to give a public comment. We're mad. This is our home. I was born and raised here. My husband has been fighting lung cancer for the last 5 months, and you want to put a toxic chemical plant in our backyard. People in our town right now want a splash pad more than anything, and I'm afraid to vote for it because I don't want kids running around half naked in their bathing suits having PFOS and all kinds of contaminants all over their bodies while they're playing in the park. We need strong representation. We don't need backdoor politicians. Thank you.
Smith,
Eva Darenthal, Highland Street in Moose Up. I am actually probably not going to speak to the people here because I am speaking to you, but everyone here, I don't think I haven't heard anyone say they don't want to spend the $250,000, but I want to talk about my opinion on that and that we should spend it, but I want to clear up some things because there has been some Facebook chatter and I want to make sure that we're all clear on it. I've talked to hundreds of people and since last May we've been, that public hearing that we've had, I've talked to hundreds of residents, not only in Plainfield but in Killingly, and thank you Al and Ian McDonald and Gabe and Madison. We've been meeting almost monthly about this and really, and I have to say, Trav Harmon I'm going to out him right now. He is the voice behind and the mind behind PlainfieldTrashPlant.org, and I cannot thank him enough for that. And Carla Deschardins, who does the no trash plant signs and things, so let's thank her. And all of the information that she puts onto Facebook every Sunday and just about the trash plant. I have been hearing a few sentiments. So I have been hearing a lot of not only information about how people are against it, but I talk about this. Do we want to spend money to have a lawyer? And most of it is, well, why bother? Why bother spending $250,000? Can you imagine what we could spend that on? And if I think about how much it takes to operate a town and the percentage of $250,000, if you make $60,000 a year, which is about the average salary in Plainfield, it equates to about $290. So if you think about that in the grand scheme of things, so $290, it's money, and especially in a $60,000 town, and this affordability, we won't get into it. It's money. But I also just sat in Killingly and watched the Amazon plant meet a roadblock because the Inland Wetlands Committee said no. And yeah, is it finished? No. Is it worth fighting for? Yes. I see people talk about how no trash plant signs don't do anything. How many people are here or asked about what the heck is going on with the trash plant because they saw a no trash plant sign and now we're here? I watched to make sure. I talked to a woman, and I'm going to get her last name wrong, but Amy Paszynski. As I was knocking on her door, and she said, "Come on in." She showed me this big map, and she drew a half mile radius around this property. There's hundreds of houses in that half mile. Hundreds. And if you go to YouTube and you go to No Trash Plainfield, that is her YouTube page, and last year she created all of these great videos explaining all of it, so go check that out as well. And I cannot say enough about how we need to fight this, and you'll hear Gabe said this as well as Madison, and we just heard that there are many, many steps to this. The more we can fight each step, the more chances we have to win. And so this is not just this one siting council, this is not just this one $250,000, which hopefully it won't cost much, but who knows. But it is us giving every step of the way. This one passes, the next one's up. Let's go, let's write letters, let's do this. Because someone said it best, and yeah, we may not be the richest, we may be poor actually, but we're really loud and really angry. So thank you.
Just to hit the personal note, because there's some great personal stories. Mr. McKnight taught both of my parents, he taught me, and now I'm a school teacher. Thank you. Eric, my question is actually for you, Mr. Cunningham.
Your name?
Eric Claw, Huntington Director. My question for you, Mr. Cunningham, I was wondering, can we vote as a town for some ordinances to diversify this approach and restrict different truck times or traffic, blame it on school system buses? Can we do small things in the town that would just make it uncomfortable for them and just make it, maybe they'll turn around and go, oh, maybe it's just not worth it. They're just such a headache. I didn't know if that's something that we could do.
I'm open to suggestions if you'd like to sit down and meet with me and talk about those ideas.
Okay.
And then we can actually share that with the public.
Great. And how about anybody from the public? Maybe they could get in touch with you as well if they have some good ideas. So anything we can do to make it just a little difficult, it can't hurt. Yeah. Thanks,
Hi, Ed Shivik, Black Hill Road. I want to talk about the logistics of this. They're saying 100 trucks a day. They're full of shit. They're saying 100 trucks a day off the highway. What about Scotland, Lebanon, Canterbury, all Hampton, all them towns that are gonna come down Route 14 with garbage trucks? Plainfield already is being overrun with dump trucks. What are you gonna do when you put a couple hundred more garbage trucks on the road that aren't nowhere near as well maintained as the dump trucks? And when you look at the plan, their plan, they can't even put the right address for this plan. If you look at their application, it was for the corner of Black Hill Road and Putnam Road. No, excuse me, Norwich Road. And that's not even a place in Plainfield. They can't read a map. And the amount of traffic that's gonna come off all of these towns, not on the highway, because there is no good road east to west in Connecticut. The state got rid of that years ago. So you gotta look at them logistics, and if you need them really explained, I can talk to Kevin, explain it to him, I can talk to you if you'd like. I mean, I ran these roads, I was a lineman for 40 years here. I ran these roads all day and night. And I'm telling you, I want to see 200 garbage trucks on my road. It's just crazy, I mean.
Hi everyone, my name's Hannah. I've grown up here, moved to Killingly, moved back because my fiance had inherited a home on Moosup Pond Road from Roxanne, Boise, and I just feel like it's my due diligence today to speak to all of you. You're all obviously convinced that we don't want this, but I just wanted to ask, if this is a losing fight, is there any way that we can negotiate the location for this trash plant? We already have a Superfund site here. I think we all agree we don't want any more Superfund sites here in 50 years when this plant, outlives its life. Just looking at the map on everybody's testimony, it's in pretty close proximity to the schools, to baseball fields where my kids are playing, where they're spending most of their time, Monday through Friday. So I guess that was just something I wanted to put out there, is if this is a losing fight, which I hope, having council on our side, we can win this fight, and I appreciate you stepping up and being willing to do this for us. If we lose, at least maybe we can negotiate and put it somewhere far away from everybody else, far away from our kids, far away from our schools. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Wendy Sears, and I live in the town of Scotland. I was really glad that you brought that up. I happen to live in the town and in the house that I grew up in, where I learned to drive. And I live on Route 14 in Scotland. And I can tell you it's a whole lot more terrifying to pull out onto the road now with all the Amazon vehicles. I have twins who are getting their license in a month. I'm terrified of what this road looks like. So when you talk about mental health, and don't talk about traffic, talk about mental health. I counted 9 Amazon vehicles driving by my house in a 2.5-minute period the other day. So that's not really what I came to talk about. But I did want to make it clear that whatever happens in Plainfield doesn't just happen in Plainfield. So when I was in high school, I played basketball and soccer, and our biggest rival was Plainfield. We were Parish Hill High School, and we were rivals, but we're not rivals today. We're here together, and we have to fight this together. So my question to you is, and I talked to Representative Dubinsky about this, how can we help you fight this? Because as a former selectman in Scotland, I'd like to bring this to our town, and I'd like to bring it to Canterbury and every other town that's impacted in some way. So just know that we're all with you.
Carla Carla Desjardins. I approached the microphone because I have dozens of people whispering in my ear that they have to leave, but they want to make sure we have a quorum so that we can move the question to the September 3rd vote. Now, to clarify, there is no vote tonight. However, you do need a quorum to have the town meeting to push it to a referendum. Am I correct? So I would ask again, are we opening the town meeting so that we can make the motion for the moderator so that we can move the question to a September 3rd vote?
So on the agenda, it says immediately following public informational meeting. So I do want to give an opportunity for those people who would like to speak. Would you mind please getting up in line? It'll give us a guideline of how long it's going to be.
I only have one question.
So you will be the last two? 3?
What's that? This one.
Just your name, please?
Marcel Dagenet, I live up on Colburn Road. I have the $250,000 question to the lawyer. What is the likelihood?
Can you step up to the microphone, sir? That makes it easier.
What is the likelihood of you being successful?
In a public forum, unfortunately, I can't answer your question.
Well, I knew that was coming. It's not likely. It might help, but it's not likely. I am not for this trash plant, but I think you're fighting a losing battle.
Don't say that.
Marcel, can I give somewhat of an answer? I can tell you that we have our town attorney working with us as well. We reached out to someone who's worked with the siting council before against certain issues, and we also have the help of other groups as well. I think we have a good chance of at least stopping the declaratory ruling and go from there.
I hope so.
Ulatique Barclay, 26 Dark Lantern Hill Road, Danielson, Connecticut. I would like to echo the sentiments of Representative Adam Dauphiné and Wendy Sears and Doug Dubitsky. This is not a Plainfield problem. This is a Northeast Connecticut problem. We're getting inundated with mega warehouses, power plants. Fortunately, the second power plant in Killingly, they dropped out. But that land is still there. Plainfield, another power plant. It's quite hypocritical of this Connecticut's legislature, which is dominated by Democrats, are trying to push green energy, trying to get rid of combustion engines, and yet they would think of having such a devastating power plant in Plainfield. There's no bubble over Plainfield. There's a huge impact, just like Al DeFrance had said, our water system. There is no reservoir here. All of the water systems are connected. When the PFAS in the water is polluted in Plainfield, it's going to travel to all of the surrounding towns. And the siting council, the God who makes the decision of where these power plants go. I was told that the power from Lake Road Generating in Dayville, Connecticut, that power goes to Canada. So who knows where the power is going to go from the power plant, the trash incinerator plant in Plainfield. I agree that you should reach out to all the towns and look for help from all of the towns because Northeast Connecticut is under siege from this administration. Thank you.
Before we have our final speaker, I do want to say that I echo exactly what Wendy Sears had mentioned. This is regional. This is not Plainfield. I will let you know that I'm part of NECOG, and NECOG is actually going to write something where they are collectively opposed to this. I hope I get the same thing from Last Green Valley. So it is regional. It is not just Plainfield. And I appreciate the people from other towns coming in today. Paul?
I
hadn't planned on being the last speaker, but I appreciate that I am. I'm Paul Brenton, Superintendent of Schools, for people who don't know. Thank you, Ann and Doug, for always picking up my phone calls and for fighting for our community. And thank you, everyone, for speaking today. This is what I hope every one of our students grows up to be, with this kind of courage. I'm just going to say two things. One is I am concerned by the proximity of this to our schools. We have fields that I believe are less than a mile from this. That concerns me. I'm even more concerned by the fact that my understanding is right now these voices can't be heard at a public hearing, and we're submitting everything through testimony. And what I would say to the community is that I think the only way we're going to get a public hearing for these voices to be heard is to fight for it. So that's what I have to say. Thank
With that, I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion.
Carla, motion. Do we have a second? Sam? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you. We'll go right into our special town meeting. We'll call the meeting to order and ask the town clerk to read the warning.
The electors and citizens qualified to vote at town meetings in the town of Plainfield are hereby warned to meet on Wednesday, August 26, 2026, immediately following the public information meeting at Plainfield Town Hall, 8 Community Ave, Plainfield, Connecticut, for the following purpose. Item 1. Shall the town of Plainfield authorize the use of $250,000 from its fund balance to retain legal representation to pursue legal action against Smart Technologies? Dated at Plainfield, Connecticut, this 10th day of August, 2026. Kevin M. Cunningham, First Selectman. Michael Supernaut, Selectman. Thomas Sinkwitz, Selectman.
Thank you. I will now ask to open the floor for nomination for moderator.
I nominate Kevin Cunningham for moderator.
Okay. Do we have a second? Yep. Any other nominations from the floor for moderator?
Motion to close nominations.
Second.
Second.
All in favor of closing nominations, say aye. Aye. Against? All right, thank you all for coming in today. We have listened to a lot of important information. You've met some of the people who will help us out. At this time, what we will do is we will ask as moderator, to close us out by way of going to concluding the public meeting. Now we're into the town meeting for the charter, says section 2.5. There is other action that requires a town meeting, but here we go. After recommendation by the Board of Selectmen, Board of Education, approved by the Board of Finance, that we, and because this is over $50,000, so place a call in the town meeting, and then after completion of other business and reasonable discussion on such appropriations, the moderator of such meeting shall adjourn the meeting to reconvene not less than 7, not more than 14 days thereafter, according to Connecticut General Statute 7.7, as amended, and the such appropriation shall become effective only after it has been submitted to the persons qualified to vote in such meeting with a yes or no vote on the voting machines. With that said, we have chosen to have a town referendum. It is September 3rd here at Town Hall. It starts at 6 a.m., concludes at 8 p.m. With that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Again, thank you all for coming out.